Hey guys, welcome to Muscle Memory. My name is Malcolm. Now, it is a beautiful life because I'm here with LJ Cleary, man. How are you?
I'm great. It is. I'm LJ Cleary, and it is a beautiful life. I'm fantastic. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. No, I mean, like, life is good right now. We're talking to you. I want to learn more about your wrestling career for people that are like now starting to like understand who you are. Because I'm sure a
Hmm.
lot of people found out who you were, during like that Backlash time
Yeah.
with Lyra's match and whatnot. For people that don't know and they now know that you're actually a pro wrestler, how long have you been wrestling?
So yeah, I think it will be kind of a surprise to people who are now starting to, I guess, discover me. But I'm wrestling 12 years. I started when I was 13 in a Five Factory Pro Wrestling in Dublin, and I'm 26 now. So yeah, 12 years I've been wrestling.
Oh man, a whole decade, man. So like how
Yeah.
long, no, I'm not gonna say how long, so you just said 12 years, but
Yeah.
within those 12 years of wrestling, like what have you learned about yourself in this journey? It's like because obviously you're starting from like Dublin, Ireland, now you're over here in
Mhm.
the States and you're doing a lot of big things. You're wrestling in Japan and whatnot. What have you learned about yourself in the last 12 years?
It's funny, like, and it might sound a little bit like, I don't know if it's like maybe it might sound cringe or like people are like, oh, he doesn't actually mean that, but like the whole living my beautiful life, it's a beautiful life thing, like was something that did just start as like the entrance music that I used
Yeah.
by Ace of Base. But then as I kind of hit like 17, 18, so now I'm like 5 years in and I'm really starting to pick up steam in Ireland and in Europe. And essentially I start like living my dream. I'm starting to like be, flown all over Europe to wrestle. And then like as you said, it snowballs into Japan and now living here in America. Like it became very real. Like and now like it is me as a person. Because every wrestler is trying to find what their thing is.
Yeah.
And for me, at the beginning, it was just like a moniker that I used. But the more I kind of progressed, and I would consider myself quite a positive person, anyways, it genuinely became very real. And things like my entrance and the music and everything behind it and me, who I am, is kind of what started to resonate with people before the in ring, which I'm very, confident in my in ring ability. But so I also like I had to mature in wrestling because I started at 13
Yeah.
and I'm 26 now. So I was always told I was a pretty mature, like, young teenager. And to be honest, like what I learned was that I kind of just think the same way I did when I was like six and I was like, well, I'm just going to be a wrestler. Like it never changed. Like my kind of mindset or sometimes maybe stubbornness to this is what I'm going to do. I see it, I believe it, I'm going to chase it. Never really changed. And like that's really like what I've learned over the last 12 years.
Oh, absolutely, man. I saw a photo of you and CM Punk. I believe like you're
Mm,
at one of the trainings that he was at with Ace Steel. Was
yeah.
there anything that you learned from training with CM Punk? Because obviously that's like a massive star in the industry. And, someone who like has done the 12 years so far on the independence in Japan and whatnot. Like, what are you learning from a guy like that?
Yeah, like so yeah, it was at I train regularly at the foundation in Orlando. It's a steel school, a steel famously, trained CM Punk.
Yeah.
And Punk was just dropped in. I was pretty surreal. I was like, I remember walking in and like, oh, I guess he's here. And but like a couple of days before I put up my like my graphic of saying like I'm now based in Orlando. And Punk, who I'd never met at this point, like shared it. And so my load of my friends at home are texted me, and I was actually in Ireland at the time for a couple of days. They're like, "You need to check CM Punk's story." So first thing I said to him when I saw him was like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you for sharing my my graphic." And he was just like, "Oh no, like if Ace puts the stamp on you, like I believe it," which is cool. But yeah, I'd say that the main thing I took from that day, because obviously, as you mentioned, one of the greatest of all time at this point. We hear a lot in wrestling. It gets said a lot, like, "Oh, it's not about the moves; it's about the moments." And sometimes that gets just repeated by people who I feel like don't really actually like can explain it. But then you meet someone like him who obviously has a much higher level understanding of this. And something he said when talking about that was if if I was on Raw tomorrow, if I was on Raw and I went out and hit a GTS, he was like, I wouldn't care because it's not CM Punk hitting it, so therefore it just doesn't have as much value. And that was such a good way of like putting that it's not about the moves into perspective, it's about who's doing it. I was like, he's right. Because if I did just do it, like it'd be like, oh, that's just the CM Punk move. But when CM Punk does it, the place erupts. So that was like that for me, that was really the best thing I took from it.
For sure. Do you feel like you have like a certain move that's like when you hit it, like that gets the eruption from the crowd?
Yeah, I use a springboard destroyer and I call it the Irish goodbye. Now I don't do it as often anymore. I went through like a good few years of using it quite a lot.
Yeah.
And especially in Europe, I definitely noticed it was kind of because people would come up to me and mention the move. So for me, like that I felt like that was my move. Um, Obviously, like it's again, it's a just I'm very aware that like it's what the Canadian destroyer is and became over the last few years, like depending on opinions or how you use it. But I felt like the spring and I kind of used it everywhere. I used it all over the world, and that's when I felt like it started to become mine. Now I will kind of lean more into so like Chris Jericho's my favorite wrestler of all time, so I would use a line tamer a lot too. And I think now for me, what's kind of getting uh, the brush I'm getting painted with, and I want this is I very confident technical wrestler. It's always a style that I've really loved, and that now, especially here in America, which sometimes I don't think is seen as much on the independents. Like
Yeah.
people are really seeing that and being like, oh, like he's like a technical guy, and I want that because that's the wrestling I like doing and I'm proud of.
No, certainly. I saw like there was a clip on Twitter, I believe, or X, of you
Mm.
wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. And people,
Yeah.
as they were starting to discover, you're like, oh wait, no, this guy like really wrestles. Like he's really good at it.
Yeah, yeah, like this because so that's my pinned tweet. I'm sorry I used to call it X, like I still just
Right?
call it Twitter like you did there, yeah. And so yeah, like one of the biggest accomplishments of my career was last summer. I debuted for New Japan, in Osaka and for Dominion, and it was like my biggest crowd to date, like over 7,200 people, and I was in a 6-man tag, with the myself, the Bullet Club War Dogs against TMDK. Yeah, it came down to me and Zach, and Zach was always someone I really looked up to, anyways, and loving that style, and so yeah, 'cause since it is my pinned tweet, when all the I guess attention came from the Backlash appearance. That was the first thing people would have saw, and like you said, it was like, oh, what? Like that's him. Like he can do this.
Definitely, man. I heard that Chris Jericho's book was like part of the reason that inspired you to be a pro wrestler. Is there a
Yeah.
certain part of that book that like really like I guess like set in stone like, oh, I can actually do this. I can actually become a pro wrestler.
Yeah, so I would say like Jericho's first book. It's right there. I'm looking at it on the calendar, right? It's A Lion's Tale Around the World in Spandex. Like I can say for a fact, like that book is the main reason. Like there was again, I was always the obsessed fan. I know I always knew I was gonna try it or want to do it, but I remember reading that book. I just remember closing it. I remember being like, well, the way it's written and the way he explains his journey made me be like, if he could do it, I can do it. And the book ends on a cliffhanger. Essentially, I don't know if you read it, but I think like it's been out a long time. I think next year it'll be 20 years, and
Wow.
so it ends at like what you think is about to be the peak point, and that to me just kind of encapsulated the journey, because that's the whole one of it. It's the journey. He went everywhere, Mexico and Japan and ECW and WCW and then WWF, and that I think for me a lot with him and along with a lot of other people like Finn Balor and AJ Styles or Bryan Danielson. That's the journey that has always appealed to me, and I think I didn't realize that that was the way I wanted to be a wrestler until I finished Jericho's book, when I was around 11 or 12.
Certainly, man. Could you make out a Mount Rushmore of Irish pro wrestlers? Who would be on it?
Oh,
I know that's very
oh,
hard.
I don't want to leave people out. That's the thing, and like so for me, I would say number one is Finn Balor purely because so the school I come from, that myself and like Lyra comes from, is Five Factory Pro Wrestling. That was previously NWA Ireland, which was set up by Finn Balor. So really, like without him setting up that school, he trained my coach, who passed on the skill to him when he went off to Japan and become what he became. So without him, like I'm not here, and like I've said that to him. I've been like, without you, like this doesn't happen for me or even for Lyra as well. So and obviously, I just think he is like obviously he's one of the greatest of all time. In ring, I think untouchable, one of the absolute greatest ever. That is a dream match I'm chasing. I will be chasing and like really until I get it. I'm gonna make sure it happens one day. So I'd say Finn Balor, and then again, Becky Lynch came from the same school, from Five Factory, previously NWA Ireland. And Becky Lynch again becoming, the really, I don't think the first women's main event of Mania happens without Becky, without the momentum and everything. So what she was then able to do for, a whole new generation of female wrestlers and coming from Dublin, and even the first two women's in the Continental Champions are both from Dublin, from the same school in Ireland. Like it's crazy. And then I would say so Balor, Becky, Sheamus, because
Yes.
obviously because before there was Finn and before there was Becky, like I'll never forget when I saw Sheamus on TV for the first time in 2009 on ECW. I was like,
Oh,
what? I was like, this guy's from Dublin. I think where for me, like the reason that Balor comes to mind first is because he was the way he wrestled was kind of more attainable for me, you
yeah.
know, because Sheamus is 6 foot whatever and he's jacked and everything. But yeah, again, Sheamus made it possible to be like, yeah, you can be Irish and you can be world champion. Oh, and then the last spot is hard. I don't want to get in trouble for not putting, Lyra on it,
I'd
but
say can't sit on the couch, bro.
I'm gonna say Finley. I'm gonna say Fifth Finley. Again, I think the way I'm kind of looking at it is like who kind of came before each person, and Finley bringing an Irish presence to like WCW. Like, oh wow, like you can have an Irish person on, American television, and then
Yeah.
to WWE, and then from him to Sheamus to Balor to Becky, and then obviously honorable mentions JD McDonough, absolutely incredible. One of like someone who I've got to train and wrestle a lot with personally over the years, and then my fiancée Lyra Valkyria, who is also incredible. And I think what we do as Irish is I think we do just kind of make history without somebody giving us the option to do it. So I know there's only four heads in a Mount Rushmore, but I think a lot more the Irish thing to do would be to get up there and carve another head out for those. So I think that's what those others will do and what I plan on doing.
You put Lyra last on the honorable mentions. Oh,
Oh,
oh, oh
no.
no.
Ah,
I'm
well,
playing.
yeah.
I'm kidding, man. But I mean, in general, let's talk about Backlash for a second. I mean,
Mm,
like again, that's probably one of the big catalysts of your career right now for non-independent wrestling fans,
yeah,
not like Japanese wrestling fans. So they see you in the crowd during Lyra and Becky's match, and they're like, "Oh, who is this guy?" And then they
yeah,
look you up, like, "Wait, this guy looks a little different in this photo based off him at Backlash. They don't even look like the same person."
yeah, yeah.
How did you respond to that? I guess like response from like the online community of like, oh wait, this guy is a wrestler. That's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, it was all, yeah, pretty cool, I guess, in the sense that I definitely knew there was gonna be a bit of somewhat buzz, let's call it. But Lyra even said to me, she was like, "You showed up on TV for 4 seconds, and you're like the most viral wrestler of the whole show. Like, how did that end up happening?" I was like, "I don't know," and I do think it is because of. So I had never the big comparison I got was like Clark Kent, Superman, and I had never thought of that. Like, I'm like a superhero nerd, and then it was when people would put the photos next to each other, I'd be like, I actually do look very different, I guess, when like
Very
my glasses aren't on and my hair is wet and like I'm wrestling. And so like anything now, like obviously social media, everyone kind of has a platform, everyone has an opinion or whatever. And I'm a very like relaxed person. Like I'm very thick skinned. Like nothing really bothers me that way. I can honestly tell you. So like there was that one tweet that like blew everything up, and it was like
yeah.
it was a guy being like, oh, like if this is who Lyra's with, like there's hope for everyone. And I can honestly say like so that was the first thing I saw before anything blew up. And I remember my honest reaction was I went like I just kind of like whatever, I chuckled. I put my phone away, and then an hour later I went back on my phone, and like you said, it was like felt like to me, obviously, because it's all my social media, the whole world being like, no, this guy's a great wrestler and he's really handsome. And I was like, oh, that's like, I guess like I'll take it. And it just, like you said, because of the pin tweet with Zack Sabre, and like there's a lot of my matches online and stuff for free. It got, as many eyes on me as there ever have been. And it's just, I guess, an example of a negative comment from someone who, like, again, like it's just personally like it doesn't really bother me. But like that's the problem with social media is like people can kind of say what they want and they don't really take into account like how other people feel and stuff. But how you take it in your stride, I think, is kind of really important. And I just think like for wrestlers that are on social media, like you have to be aware that you're going onto a platform where you're putting yourself out there completely and to not take stuff personally. Because to me, like whoever that person is, I don't know their name, I don't know their face, so it doesn't bother me.
Right.
Like
It's a
if
faceless account.
if someone I really respected said to me, "You're a bad wrestler," I'd be like, "Oh, damn!" Like
Yeah,
that would
that
hurt.
would suck.
Like that would hurt,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like I feel like I turned it into a. So for example, that booking graphic that I put out that I was based in Orlando, I messaged like my graphic designer that night. I was like, "You need to get me this tomorrow. Like this needs to go out now.
Smart.
Like at the
Smart.
height of all this." And he did. He like that, send it to me. So yeah, it was wild. It was a pretty amazing experience. And then yeah, I felt like I did a good job of like turning the I guess attention from it around to like, well, hey, now you know who I am. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, you did a great job at it. I mean, like that was what I had heard about you before, but I wasn't like too familiar. Then when I see you pop up, I'm like, oh yeah, wait, hold up,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
bro, wrestles. Let me watch this guy some more.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I guess like to follow up on that question, is like your goal now to eventually join the WWE? Because obviously you're doing stuff, or you wrestled in Noah and you've done OTT and Progress and all these
hmm
big name companies. Is the goal for you to go to a WWE?
Yeah, I can definitely say with confidence that the long-term goal has always and will always be WWE for me. Like that's why I got into wrestling. That's why I was the obsessed kid. That's, Jericho's book, all that stuff. The long-term goal is to always be WWE main roster, WrestleMania. I've always been very vocal about that, even when I train at home, when I'm a coach at home now. Like that's always what I've wanted. However, like I mentioned, for me, what's very appealing is the journey. And I've had a very good journey up to now already, again, 12 years, and been all over Europe, done 5 tours of Japan, now living over here, or being based over here. So yeah, like that is the goal, but I'm also very open to whatever kind of pops up. I would love to, I'd love to go to Mexico. That's somewhere I haven't got to wrestle. I would love to. TNA would be a big goal for me. Also, I was also a big TNA fan as a kid, and I think what the company is doing now is like some incredible stuff. But yeah, like WWE for me personally, and yeah, because every wrestler kind of has a different where they want to go. Is definitely the long term goal.
Oh, certainly. And even like with those goals in mind as well, like a TNA or, going to Mexico like a AAA, all those kind of roads eventually lead to WWE at some
Yeah,
point in time.
yeah,
So, I think the goal will always be not just for you, but I feel like all wrestlers to make it to that kind of platform.
I
And
think so
I feel like
too.
you're the kind of guy that like if you showed up on like Evolve tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, well,
I can see why you're up there.
I appreciate that a lot. I do kind of pride myself in that any big opportunity I've ever gotten to get somewhere, I felt like I've always delivered it, and that's how I was able to, get to somewhere like Noah. Like that was it's been a while since an Irish person had went to Japan, and I just really like was very persistent in like that's where I wanted to go. That's what I wanted to do. I felt like I needed to go there, um, to gain like any kind of an extra level of respect as a wrestler, just being naturally a little smaller, not tiny, like I'm still like 5'10", okay, but like in wrestling, like I'm not what I would kill for those that 6 foot. To get that extra level of respect, and like people are very aware of what the training is like in Japan, and it's tough and it's hard, and I knew that, well, if I go here and do this, it's just gonna you know give me this extra level of respect from not just fans but the people that are behind the scenes that notice that stuff.
Certainly, man. I mean, now like based in Orlando, you're wrestling in the States more. Is there like a certain like match or person you're looking to wrestle? Because it sounds like you've wrestled a lot of the big names already. I mean, you've been in the ring with Rich Swann, you've had the Cardonas,
Yeah.
Nemesis of the world. I know you're wrestling in Pennsylvania in a few days, right?
Yes.
Enjoy wrestling. I'm
Yeah.
like right outside of
Oh,
Philly. So
really?
yeah, I was like, oh wait, if I knew about this, I would have been up there for that.
Ah, damn. Well, next time.
Right? Of
Definitely
course,
next
bro.
time.
But yeah, man, but like what's like your goals now on like this US independent scene? Because this scene maybe be a lot different than like what's over there in Europe.
Yeah, I would say right now, like it's again, like you said, I am very fortunate. I've gotten to wrestle some of the best wrestlers in the world, but like big slash next to that is wrestlers that I loved watching growing up or as a teenager. Cardona, Nick Nemeth, Pac,
Yeah.
Rich Swann. I recently like I'm current Irish tag team champions with Rich Swann, which is very cool. Like I wrestled him back when I was 19, and it's a very full circle moment. I've also wrestled the likes of Gunther, Swerve, Strickland, like a lot of big names. Right now, off the top of my head, if I had to be like a match right now based in Orlando that I want on the independents is Cedric Alexander, because he's just recently doing indies again.
Yeah.
I was only talking to about him with someone the other day, and I was like, that's the one, like because it's available.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of names in AEW and stuff that I know it can be somewhat possible, but I'm kind of just trying to look at, okay, well, what's independently definitely possible. The ultimate dream matches for me would be Jericho.
Yeah.
Um, I stranger things have happened, but I don't think I'm gonna get Cena, unfortunately, because it's only there's only whatever 15 dates left. And then also Christian. I've always been very vocal that I think Christian is one of the greatest ever. But yeah, right now I would say definitely Cedric. He really like sticks out as like I
Okay.
want to prove myself against these people. I want the challenge. Cedric
Oh,
is one of the best wrestlers in the world. So
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I mean that's definitely possible. So I know
yeah,
he's taking a lot of independent bookings right now, and plus, like he's doing stuff with TNA and whatnot. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I didn't even think about that kind of matchup, but that's
yeah.
perfect
Not
for you.
and again, like just from the time. So he recently wrestled one of my good friends, Kuro, from France, and like I think someone like Cedric definitely would understand it a lot more because he came from independence. But like what it means for like us independent guys to be able to wrestle someone like that after they've had such big success and realistically are going to go on to do much more.
Yeah,
In my head, I'm like, well, I've only got a short window here to wrestle him, realistically, unless we both end up in the same company. But I would love to do it on an independent level because, like I said, I think Cedric Alexander is he's kind of like a benchmark of for indie guys that went on to do such big things. And like, so I'm like, well, I kind of got to prove it against him.
for sure, man.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a big difference as far as like the wrestling style in the US versus Europe versus like Japan?
Yeah, I would definitely say Europe for me, anyways, for in Ireland, especially from my home school. So I coach at two schools at home, Five Factory Pro Wrestling, which is my home school, and the School of Irish Wrestling, which is kind of the OTT school.
Yeah,
We are much more, definitely much more technical. Like I said, that's the style I like. Because there's the history of World of Sport Wrestling with the likes of Johnny Saint and Marty Jones and Rollerball Rocco, that kind of I think we pride ourselves in teaching that and being good at it. And now even over here, there's Fighting Spirit, which is run by Pete Dunne and the Grizzly Young veterans, and like they are very much kind of trying to blend the American TV style with that technical style, which I think is amazing. Um, it's a bit more gritty, I think, like a little bit more. I don't want to say, because I wouldn't say violent, but like you might hear the hits a lot
yeah.
more. Um, I think sometimes European wrestlers may be a little more reserved
Mhm.
than an American wrestler, but usually they kind of will use their actions to kind of draw people in. Um, and then obviously, I feel like in American wrestling, to me, even as a kid, was always it's big, it's loud, it's characters, and that's what drew me into it. I do think now there's becoming a good balance in Europe that we're kind of starting to get quite good at that. And
Yeah.
then for me being here, influencing, trying to bring my like technical influence, and then in Japan, Japan notorious for being, it's more kind of sports based. It's the fans watch it with a lot of intent. They're not at the beginning of the matches they're not going crazy. But by the end, like if you do it right, they really are. And there's that strong style element where like they really hit each other. Because I mean, there's a passion I think within Japanese wrestlers, and I've been super fortunate to wrestle some legends. Like I got to, it's coming up to a year. Actually, tomorrow is 1 year ago since I had a singles match with Naomichi Marufuji, and that
Oh,
was such a big like accomplishment for me to get that singles match there.
yeah.
I got to wrestle Masato Tanaka over in Japan as well, and a lot of others, and that kind of sports centric into I feel like turns into passion, which makes the reserved Japanese audience who are kind of quiet and watch can't help but get loud. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Now, as we start to wrap this up, I have one final question for you that I try to ask everyone when I do
Oh,
this interview. So,
I know.
yeah, I know.
I I know it's coming. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well you already know what it is then. LJ, what is your Waffle House order?
So I knew this is on me, right? This is 100% on me. I knew this was coming,
Uh,
and I've been based here since February, and I have not been to Waffle House yet.
oh
I
no.
know, I know. I
Oh
was so like, I
no.
honestly, I'm not joking. I even considered like this morning. I was like, oh, will I go? Like, will I go now? But I had to go work out, and I was like, but okay, but because I knew it was coming, I have a counter question to you.
Okay.
Since I haven't been,
Okay.
I definitely will go.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me exactly what to get when I go, and I will get exactly what you tell me the
You
first time
know,
I go.
you're a smart man. No one's ever asked me that. I
Yeah,
respect that. Just to make sure, before I give you an answer, you've never been to like a Denny's before, right?
I have been to a Denny's. Yeah,
Okay, that makes me not want to give you an answer, but
I
like it's
didn't like
fine.
it.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
didn't
like
like it?
it.
Okay,
No.
we're good. You know what? We're friends now.
Okay, we're
Okay,
back on track.
cool, cool. Just making sure. Just gotta make sure. All
Yeah.
right, so I'm feeling this is what I get usually, right? And I feel like if you get this, like you'll feel sick afterwards, but like you'll have a fun
All right.
time in the moment.
Yeah.
So you got to get two hash brown bowls of sausage, egg, and cheese. Very simple. But then you got to ask for Waffle House sauce. And when you
Okay.
ask for some
I'll
sauce,
note this down.
ask for all the sauce. I
All
mean, like
right.
a pitcher of sauce. And I want you
Okay.
to dump it on the food, get a straw, drink, and then eat what's left over.
Wow, like
Yup.
a big, I can tell you a big adjustment as well coming from Europe is like the food here is definitely different.
It's
So
different
hang on,
bad. I feel like different's bad.
I'm gonna note that down. So two hash brown balls,
Yeah.
um, egg, sausage and cheese,
Yes. Yes.
um,
Waffle House sauce.
yeah, egg, sausage and cheese, Waffle House sauce. Get a
Yes.
straw,
Get a straw.
yeah,
Drink it.
drink, and then eat the remains. That's what I'm gonna
Yes.
write.
Smart man.
Okay,
Smart man.
yeah. So that's it. I knew I hadn't been, but I was like, well, I'm just gonna trust,
Yeah.
you. Like if this is your question. So when I go, I'll send you a photo. I'll be like, I'm
Please
doing
do.
it. Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for that. That was very unique. I like that. That'll do great on the Instagram. Appreciate you.
That was good. Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for your time. Where can they find you on social media if they're not already following you? And where can they see you wrestle next?
So on social media, at LJ underscore Cleary on Instagram and Twitter. Um, I'm kind of just all over the place, to be honest. Like that's the way when I was in Europe, I would try to be everywhere, and I wanted to treat here the same. But obviously, it was a bit of an adjustment, being like, God, this country is so damn big. Like I had a weekend a couple of weeks ago where I was in like San Francisco on a Friday, and then Philly on a Saturday, and then back to Orlando on the Sunday. But like that's what I love. I really love the travel. Like I love the lifestyle. So just if you go on my social medias, it's always being updated where I am. You'll see everything. I am at Enjoy Wrestling this Saturday, and then in Pittsburgh. No, is it? I can't remember.
So Enjoy is like it's like right next to Pittsburgh. So it's
Okay,
like
right
close
next.
enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then next week I'm at CCW in Kissimmee and Tampa. I have Big Time Wrestling coming up August 8th in San Francisco.
Wow, you're
Uh,
everywhere.
yeah, and there's a couple more in between. There's a good few in between there that I'm just like, oh, you'll see it on my social media. And please, if you're listening and if there's anything that for me that you were interested in, I'd recommend going checking out other Irish wrestling. OTT have an on-demand service called OTT On Demand. You can see a lot of people that have gone on to do big things, wrestle for OTT. And my home school, Fight Factory Pro Wrestling, also uploads all their shows for free on YouTube. Please check them out. Check out some Irish wrestling.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for your time. I
No,
greatly
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, bro.
No,
Guys,
thank
my
you,
name
man.
is Malcolm. This is Muscle Memory, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. Hey.